Hey there, ABSS. We want to give you a quick overview of the importance of and ways to structure your differentiated core. You may have heard this phrase a lot recently, so it's important that we all understand the definition before we go any further. When we talk about differentiation, we're referring to a planned, available difference in content, process, and/or product that maintains rigorous learning expectations. Differentiation doesn't mean the learning outcome is different for everyone. It just means it's a different path to the same success. And a differentiated core is just another way to talk about your classroom. Your classroom is the core of instruction, regardless of what you teach. We call it a differentiated core because we know that good instruction involves differentiating for the needs of all our students. In short, your differentiated core is what each student has access to as a result of intentional, research-supported planning around both grade level and individual level expectations. Like any worthy work, there are some underlying assumptions, so let's be clear. A strong differentiated core assumes these four things. Number 1, a clear understanding of the learners in your classroom. Number 2, a clear understanding of the grade level standards. Number 3, a clear understanding of the data you collect. And number 4, a clear understanding of the research on instructional strategies. So, why is this important? Well, when a student begins to struggle, it's important to understand what he or she is experiencing. For instance, if most of their time in the classroom is spent listening to the teacher, teams could begin to make instructional adjustments like making sure that the student has an opportunity to participate, or restructuring some parts of class so that student partners are talking to one another, or using technology to enhance some parts of the lesson. Or if a student has access to things like stations or centers, it would be helpful to know how engaged she is in that self-directed work, because if she's still unsuccessful at meeting grade level standards, a different type of work or environment might be better at meeting her needs. Likewise, it's important for students who are succeeding. Too often we use our qualitative and quantitative data to point out things that aren't working. That's only using the data to help us paint half the picture. A differentiated core is important because it can also help us identify why many of our students are outpacing our expectations, or why so many more are meeting grade level standards than originally predicted. A differentiated core that's well planned and well executed helps align a variety of moving parts into an easily navigable series of information. So if it's so good, then what might it look like? Well, rather than pre-assessing a unit of study at the beginning, it might look like providing an overview of the information on day 1 with a blend of direct instruction about the information they'll encounter in the unit and a bit of an opportunity to explore some vetted resources ahead of time. Then, perhaps on day 2, students are given a pre-assessment of some kind. This would allow students who just needed a reminder or refresher to be better prepared for the pre-assessment than a cold run at the information on day 1. From that pre-assessment, you would likely see a variety of needs, but some trends, no less. So, coupled with information like an interest inventory or learning styles information, you would make groups for your students so that they could not only work at their appropriate individual instructional level, but so they would also be working in alignment with the grade level standard. Given the formative assessments that you conduct on a frequent, purposeful basis, you would adjust your instruction and pacing, finishing with the first attempt at a summative assessment. And, given that you now have new, enlightening information, you could either choose to return to the deficits for a different kind of instruction, or you could choose how you'll incorporate them in the next or subsequent units of study. We know that if we focus on excellent instruction for all students in regular education as a first resort, that instruction can serve to avoid additional intervention for most students who will make good progress. But such expert instruction requires highly skilled teachers and principals who know what to look for, how to assess, how to differentiate instruction, how to provide flexible grouping, how to give productive feedback, and how to move learners forward. See? Simple. As with any good and simple task, remember the underlying assumptions. Then, as you move into your next planning session, consider your differentiated core, how it keeps you balanced, and how it provides a steady guide for your students.